guys, thank you for watching my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the archetype of Gemini, the messenger, the witness, and the busybody. Because Gemini has yang masculine energy, it is moving outward, away from its center, projecting out into the world to gather information. And this is a vast variety of information as well as experiences. The more the better with this sign, hence the name busybody. This energy needs to explore. It needs places to go and people to see in order to fulfill its purpose. Per Jeffrey Wolf Green, Gemini wants to know as much as possible intellectually, to understand the nature of life through the brain, to identify, to categorize ideas and words, and to give names to those classifications, to create an intellectual system of organization that allows us to logically place things. Whew. That is a lot. So let's just let that soak in. Being an air sign, Gemini is motivated by ideas, by abstract thoughts, words, and all kinds of information, both incoming, perceived, as well as outgoing via communication, both written and orally. This archetype, as well as all of the air signs, can be a little more detached from their emotions, but of course this also depends on your chart as a whole, as well as your specific elemental balance within your chart. This is where we can be more comfortable living in our heads and detaching from the immediate experience of everyday life. Of course, this can cause problems, but it also acts in very positive ways, helping Gemini, as well as the air signs, remain more open-minded and accepting of others' views, even if they differ from their own. This also helps them remain more objective in general in their thinking and in their outlook in life. Also, being a mutable sign, Gemini does not want to be held down. They can easily become restless as well as indecisive, but they thrive off of adaptability, being helpful, and remaining open to learning and experiencing new things. One thing they cannot live without, and this is no joke, is their freedom of expression. They need room to express themselves. This is like we need oxygen. Gemini rules Mercury, the planet of intelligence and communication, which is also co-ruled by Virgo. And Mercury literally sits between the sun and all of the other planets, kind of acting like a bridge and a transmitter of information from one to the others. It is also the fastest planet moving in the solar system, nearly 29 miles per second. And in case you think that is slow, that ends up being like 105,000 miles per hour, which is insane if you think about it. Earth, I think, moves at like 67,000 miles per hour. So that is pretty fast. Having the planet Mercury placed here symbolizes Gemini as playing a crucial role within the collective, not just as a messenger, but also as the barter and negotiator running back and forth between tribes, exchanging and gathering information as a means to bring the whole back together. There is also the metaphor of the bird carrying the seed, going out and coming back in through cycles of giving and receiving, as well as processing information. Before we dive deeper into the waters of evolutionary astrology, Let's spend a moment discussing the more obvious gifts and abilities of the sign Gemini. Number one, I would say, would definitely be the ability to always remain curious, as if the world was their playground. There is just a natural, useful energy that Gemini possesses. And because of this, Gemini was also referred to as the eternal youth. There is just a lighthearted, fun, fresh, invigorating quality within this archetype. They also have the gift of language, not just with words, but with teaching and the learning of languages themselves. This can extend to things like being multilingual, writing, journalism, and media work. Gemini really has a knack for on-the-fly improvisation, for trivia, observation, mental quickness, reading the environment, as well as knowing the right thing to say at the right time. Being clever to them just comes naturally. Although I don't want to over-focus on the negative side of the archetypes, I do feel that it is necessary to mention not just the higher functions, but also the lower functions of each and every sign. I think that having a greater awareness and complete awareness will only help us evolve and expand our consciousness. So with that being said, some of the possibilities that the Gemini archetype might struggle with are boredom, restlessness, talking for talking sake, just filling the air with words, but not really having a lot of meaning behind it. They may become easily distracted or scatterbrained and disconnected from their heart. Sometimes Gemini is known to fill their plates with so much stimulation, social activities, and things to do that they successfully avoid ever spending time alone, as well as connecting to their deeper selves. There can be a real fear of self-reflection and connection to their emotional body. The reality is that a lot of what we feel, experience, and just observe simply cannot be organized, intellectualized, and processed by the mind alone. There can often be this space within the Gemini conscious or subconscious where there is a room labeled, "We'll get to that later." But that room is constantly ignored and pushed aside because it just seems scary to the Gemini. It's too deep. There's too much emotions in it. Gemini is also the one who might make jokes about downplaying their own feelings or just break out in a nervous laughter for, say, like when someone else is crying, as just a means to, because it makes them uncomfortable. At the lower frequency, there can be issues of the manipulation of information. This includes gossiping, lies, and being a notorious trickster. Oftentimes, saying things just to push someone's buttons or just to see what happens because it seemed fun. Gemini can be extremely gifted with language and timing, but if it's heavily afflicted within the chart, the opposite can happen, where they can talk nonstop without ever actually listening, or maybe they blurt out inappropriate things at the inappropriate moments. Gemini is seen as the twins. You have probably heard the stereotype that this can make them two-faced. And although that can happen sometimes, I just don't think that that is a fair way to describe a Gemini. It is actually very, very important for the Gemini archetype to learn the skill of duality. This is one of their main evolutionary goals. The image of one person splitting into two shows us that this is the beginning of the realization that you can genuinely agree with two different sides of a story and that that is okay. This adds to the complexity and ability to absorb information in a non-biased and objective manner. So now I want to talk about the polar opposite of Gemini, which is Sagittarius. While Gemini, the messenger, acts as the left brain with logic, Sagittarius, the philosopher, acts as the right brain with intuition. Gemini is concerned with ideas and facts, while Sagittarius is concerned with meaning and the larger picture. These two archetypes naturally balance each other out. What is a bunch of facts without any real meaning behind it? And what is a bunch of meaning if we don't have a system in place to logically communicate it? To bring this video to a close, I would like to further discuss the need for these opposite signs to learn from each other. Gemini naturally begins to understand that words do carry meaning when they remember to look at the bigger picture, which is what Sagittarius represents. The mind can make anything logically cohesive if it really wants to. And oftentimes, this is done as a means, even if it's unconscious, to feel more secure. Secure in the world, or secure within our own state of consciousness. How many people do we know in our lives or know of that live in their own world and at the same time that logically makes complete sense to them? I think that in a lot of ways that can pretty much to some degree relate to all of us. We all do that. It's a great reminder that we are only able to process the data from the world that we are willing and able to perceive. Gemini is the map that we use to logically steer us through life's maze, as well as to connect with others through language. Although the map can be an important tool, sometimes life just extends beyond the page. And what do we do then? We would need to tap into our own inner authentic compass, which is symbolized by Sagittarius, by learning to be open to explore the unknown and to expand our consciousness in the process. If we are on a trip and we are overly focused on the directions, we might actually forget to enjoy and experience the journey. We won't see the trees and feel the breeze on our face if we are too attached to the plan. So Gemini, my advice to you is please don't forget to look up and out into the horizon once in a while and to just let life guide you through the sheer and raw adventure itself. So that is my interpretation of the Gemini archetype. I hope that this video is helpful for you guys. As always, I look forward to receiving your comments or any of your feedback, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you. Bye.